Hi, very good evening to you. It's Gene from maverickstar Observatory. It's very easy to overlook, important information. And, I think it was definitely shadow banded the other day when we talked about this, because obviously we're showing a chart from NOAA regarding daily global CO2 levels. And what this chart shows us is that CO2 is gradually but persistently going up 2.4 parts per million. Almost unbelievable. But if you times that by 100 years, you'd have 240 parts per million, which would be more CO2 than what has been put into the atmosphere in the last 50,000 years. Can you believe that? And they are obviously convincing people without a doubt that this is the case, and that we're in an emergency with regards to our climate on our earth, and it's running away. And as a result of that, global warming is taking place, and we as human beings need to cut out the dirty habit of pumping more CO2 into the atmosphere, because heaven forbid we ever breach the 0.04% of carbon in the atmosphere and increase that, because that would be a catastrophe for everyone and all the inhabitants of the earth across all the biodiversities. And of course people, like I say, believe it, because they believe that the mainstream organisations like NASA, the European Space Agency, NOAA, and a lot of other organisations like the United Nations, the European Union, and all our, governmental officials are all right on this. And yet they couldn't be any further away from the truth. Because we are going to be seeing, without a doubt, a decline in global temperature year in, year out from this point on. And I will put money on that. Anyone wants to take my bet? Then if you are so convinced that CO2 is driving the atmosphere to a point where it is warming, then take my money. Come and take it. That's how confident I am, because I know, based on all the research that we have done here at this observatory, we are very confident about what we talk about, and we are going back into a glacial period without a doubt. We've already started. CO2 isn't like this chart is showing, gradually going up by 2.4 parts per million. It's declining. And you can go onto our website and have a look at that. Earth Alpha at a Glance covers that. Whenever we do the latest Earth Alpha at a Glance, we cover CO2 levels, because we have an atmospheric CO2 detector alongside an atmospheric oxygen detector, and then muon detectors, and then we've got magnetometers, and we've got the Trimag system, and we have background radiation detectors, a lot of equipment at our disposal, so that we can find out ourselves what is going on. And we have witnessed CO2 dropping over the last 12 months, mainstream media saying not a word about it, just like they've not said for the last 10 years in concession nothing about Arctic ice sea levels rebounding to 1.8 million square kilometres, and that is a huge chunk of land, trust me, and it still continues to rebound. We're not, like Al Gore said, going to lose the ice. Polar bears are going to become extinct. Our children will never know what snow really was, because they will never experience it in their lives. Trust me, our children and our future generations, children's children, will know what snow is like. They will be sick to the back teeth of the sight of snow, because it is coming, whether we like it or not. And it seems to me that they are aware of all the information. They've got it at hand, but they are almost piloting a suicidal plane to the ground. And they don't care how many souls are on board at this point in time. They're going to kill the lot of them. And failing to be honest and report the truth, as scientists in these departments should be doing. They are turning a blind eye to look after themselves. And you know what? I know who could blame them. You know, when you've almost paid for your mortgage and there's probably a few years left till retirement, and then the easy days, so be it, will kick in. Who can blame them? Are you going to rock the boat when you're that close to getting yourself home? Look at Tucker Carlson, what he did. The networks won't touch him now because of what he's been saying, how late he's been coming out about things. But he waited until he tucked himself up nice and warm in bed before he did it. And that's my only problem with him, because he made sure he was tucked up nice and warm, and his family was tucked up nice and warm before he alerted anyone else. So I don't think he's a very big hero of anyone's, because he looked after himself. I want to show you in the next image, you know, just what our Earth will look like. And I found an image online that shows, you know, I suppose it's an artist impression. It obviously isn't a real satellite photo, but it's a good artist impression of what our Earth is slowly merging into and where it is right now. And you can see the difference between, you know, all three of the scenarios. So let's get on with that. But before I do, huge thanks to those people, you know, that do see a value in the work that we do here. It's not many people, you know, we're talking a very few out of thousands every day. You know, people that you can count on one hand. But I'll leave it until the end of the video, like people have asked me to do, and just mention the link there and then. But I just wanted to say a huge thank you to those that do support us. Let's get on with the next image. So starting from the left, working to the right, we've got an ice age and a glacial period taking place. You can see that a lot of the ice covers the UK, Canada, North America, all of Europe, Russia, a huge territory which would disturb billions of people, not millions, billions. And then in the centre we've got an ice age and an interglacial. And what many people don't understand is they confuse glacial periods with ice ages. And the fact is that we are still, right now, even would be accepted by all the organisations, still in an ice age. And then on the right we have no ice age or no glacial period. And where we are right now in time is merging from an ice age and an interglacial into an ice age and glacial, which means that the ice expands. And you know, I can back this up with, you know, facts. So you know, we'll do that now. We're going to have a look at the real facts of the matter so that we know where we are and what to expect. And you can see it as clear as I can. We're at the right hand side of this chart, and you can see what happens next. You know, this week we've been talking about giving a child, 4-year-old, a red crayon and just saying complete the pattern, and you know, full well they would be able to, because the pattern is simple. Yet a lot of us are just taking it merely for granted that this is happening. Even when faced with the facts, people are doing nothing about it. A lot of people have a real opportunity here to get out before it's too late of these major cities, because these cities are going to be hit the worst and the hardest, and especially those cities in the West. This isn't going to affect, you know, third world countries where most of the people live in small communities and villages. It won't be you know, something too hard. But for us that live in the cities, first of all, there just isn't the capacity in these small villages to all of a sudden you know, deal with an influx of millions of people. There is no integration for those people at that point in time. They will be pushed away from one village to the next. I'm not joking. You know, there is no preparation made by your government for this, other than to ensure the continuity of government so that they can maintain a certain level of governance. And the patience will be very thin at that point in time. Have you seen the clips for Grey State? Because I think it would be something along those lines, where they are just literally going around in trucks, arresting people, taking them to, concentration camps not far. I believe it'll be at that point from, the death camp in Auschwitz in Poland. And I know a lot of people will think that that is just exaggeration. But what do you think they will do with desperate people prepared to break any law at that point in time in order just to survive simply? What do you think they will do? And people just don't understand that this is going to happen. All the science shows us it's going to happen. All the geological records show us it's going to happen. Our equipment here at the observatory is detecting lower readings over the whole year for CO2. And we also monitor what is taking place in the Arctic Circle with regards to the year in, year out for the last 10 years increase in Arctic ice. When you don't hear the mainstream media talking about things like this, you know something's going on. When you see YouTube channels getting ostracised for warning people about it, we have been definitely targeted. We can't get advert revenue going on this channel because they said the content isn't suitable and they won't support it. Well, of course they won't, because it goes against their narrative. We are definitely not reading off the same hymn sheets as them. And, we don't support CO2 being the cause and the climate driver of this day and age. But I will say this, there are other things that are affecting our climate which have been totally overlooked. And, this week when we done the latest pinpoint position of the magnetic North Pole and found that it had tracked easterly again for the second time in 1 year and for the second time in 120 years that the migration has been taking place, that's a big deal, and that will definitely have an effect. You imagine 100 years of sputtering. It's a term that NASA used for the stripping and erosion of the upper atmosphere. So we are living in a day and age where our upper atmosphere is being eroded by solar winds. Right now, as you're listening to this, it's been taking place, and we have a weakened magnetosphere by 25%. And it's that which is allowing the solar erosion to take place. So you go out into the sun at the hottest point of the day, you're 25% more likely to get cancer, and you're 25% more likely to have a heart attack as a result, because cosmic rays that are coming through now the atmosphere because of the weakened magnetosphere are causing heart attacks, cardiac arrhythmias, and it will increase the further we go through this magnetic pole reversal. And we've reached a crescendo point, which we predicted 2.5 years from now, 2.5 years ago. We predicted that we would see some sort of activity around this point, and we've been slap bang on the money. It's a pity more people can't see, the work that we've done here, and just duly take that alone should be a good enough reason to support it, what we're doing. All we can do is what we've been doing, is continue tracking the magnetic North Pole, continue tracking the turn of events with regards to the returning of the glacial period, and at the same time, monitor the solar activity in regards to sunspots, because when we've got a healthy sun producing more sunspots, you know, we have a healthy heliosphere, which is our first protective shield from outside radiation coming into our solar system, and then we have our magnetosphere, which is our primary protective field, which we can't do nothing about because, you know, the Earth is going through a magnetic reversal right now. And it's only on small channels like this that you're going to get news of that. And we haven't penetrated 99% of the general public around this world of this fact that is taking place, this anomaly. And so is the returning of a glacial period taking place. And so is a grand solar minimum. All of these things will play a key part in changing our climate and possibly accelerating the fact that we are returning back into a glacial period. So it will accelerate that ice growth. And you've only got to look at how much has rebounded in just a decade, just 10 years, 1.8 million square kilometres. We have on the horizon dark moments. I kid you not, guys, they're coming, and there's nothing we can do about it. We can prepare a little bit, which will just, you know, cushion the impact of the major events that are coming. That's what we can do. We can't stop them. We have to learn to live alongside nature, and the fittest will be the ones that survive, just as natural selection goes by its work. That is the way it does it, isn't it? So if you're one of the fittest, you've put some preps up, you know, you've got ready for the worst case scenarios that could probably affect you and your loved ones, you are in a much better shape than the ones that haven't. And if you're just going to say to yourself, oh well, we'll just sit back and ride it out, good luck, because you fail to prepare. You're failing to protect your family and loved ones, point blank. You know, I'll leave it on that note, guys. You know, there's a link down there if you want to help support us, you know, become one of the few. You know, it's never a bad thing to show a little generosity. I'll say that because every time I've ever shown generosity, it's always come back, you know, some way or another to me. I think that is the one of the laws of our universe in which we live. You know, you give, and you know, you're not supposed to expect, and that's one thing I don't do. I don't expect it, but it would be nice if we could get a few more people on board, you know, helping others get information, which is critical. So a link down there in the description, guys. You know, we'll say what we usually do. You take care of your loved ones, as always. Bye for now.